Hi there, Malcolm here with my 49th Booktube video, and today I'll be bringing you my October Books Read wrap-up video. For this month I went for a slightly more conservative 9 books. Did I do that? Yes I did. Spoilers. So here they are. Having been a bit slow on the graphic novel front, I made more of an effort. So this is Star Wars Empire Book 1 Betrayal, in which Darth Vader is trying to track down some surviving Jedi, while some Imperial bigwigs try to engineer a conspiracy to overthrow the Emperor. I did find this story interesting. Certainly they had some imaginative characters in here, but I would say the story doesn't flow awfully well. If this was a film, I would say there were about 40 minutes missing from key parts of this. The story does jump jarringly from one scene to the next, without much cohesion between them, or any. The artwork wasn't fantastic, and the characters did look a little grotesque, but it wasn't awful either. I say there was enough in here to keep me going, but there's certainly a lot in here to pick apart. Worth reading. After that, I concluded reading Book 5 of the Skullduggery Pleasant series to my wife, Mortal Coil by Dirk Landy. Now, as this is Book 5 in the series, there's not much I can tell you without giving away anything of the plot from the earlier books if you're still playing your way through those. However, the blurb on the back does give away a crucial point, which is that the remnants have got out. I feel safe in saying that because if you're not familiar with the series, that will mean nothing to you. If you're still making your way through it, you may have come across something like it, but not clued up as to what that would entail. Full of usual sass and sarcasm, these books have really grown up along with Valkyrie, and so are darker, are more gruesome, and the stakes are higher. This is also a thicker book at over 600 pages. Added to that, you've got an unstoppable Terminator-type assassin, invasion of the body snatchers scenario, as well as an awful lot of fun. Booktastic. Next up is my book of the month, which is already packed in a box ready for moving, so you have to make do with it on my Kindle. The Fade by Chris Wooding. Now I have given an individual review for this book, so I'll leave a link to that video in the description box below. So go check that out if you want to know what I thought of this one. And then there was another graphic novel, Book 2 of the Empire series. This one's titled Darklighter. And this chronicles the events that follow Biggs Darklighter as he goes off to join the Academy as part of a mutiny and ends up in the Death Star trench, along with Luke Skywalker. If you didn't care about Biggs Darklighter, this book probably won't do much for you. But if you really felt for Luke when his friend died in that trench, this gives him quite a good story to find out how he got there. And this time the artwork is so much crisper and cleaner, a vast improvement over the previous tome. In fact, so completely different to Book 1, I would almost say this is an entirely different series. I can't quite see how the two are related apart from the Empire title. They even have different writers. At the back is an extra story called The Short Happy Life of Ruin Sewell. The story takes place at his funeral, with General Dodonna giving the eulogy, talking about his predecessor and how he got to be the great man he was. Needless to say, he's not a character that features in the films at all, but gives a little backstory into how the rebellion got its backbone. Buy it. Next up's my library book. Now, there's not much on Booktube that makes me want to go out and buy it or go, oh yes, I want to read that one. There's been a couple, but not many. This is one of those books, and it was Scythe by Neil Shusterman. I can't remember who waved this around in front of the camera, but I thought, ooh, I'm quite interested in that premise. I'll pick it up if I see it. So I was in the library, spotted this and picked it up. For those of you who haven't seen another Booktube video before, this is set in a world where death has been conquered. People just don't die anymore. Every illness and injury has been healed or can be fixed. And even if you're killed, you're merely deadish and can be resuscitated, resurrected, whatever, and be back on your feet again within the week. Needless to say, this could lead to awful population controls and resource management. And so there are official scythes that patrol the streets whose sacred duty it is to permanently kill people. They do abide by a bunch of rules and a code. The victims have to be selected at random, but they can use whichever method of dispatching that they deem necessary at the time. Obviously these guys are feared, but seem to be a necessary evil, and so life goes on until one of these guys turn up at your door. The story follows 2 apprentices who take the reader into this world. One is tutored by a follower of the traditional path, whilst the other is tutored by someone who has a bit more of a revolutionary outlook on things. Now in a year, a scythe is to kill about 270 odd people, or something like that, which comes to about 4 or 5 a week. This less traditional group prefer to party most of the year, and then reach their quota in one glorious bloodbath. This one was a refreshing look on life and death and all the meanings behind it. It was a very satisfying read. This was really easy to read, and I sped through this one really quickly. I'll be very eager to read Book 2, Thunderhead, next month. Booktastic. Next up is the third graphic novel I said I was going to read. Star Wars Rebellion, Book 1, My Brother, My Enemy. Now unfortunately, since Disney has bought out Star Wars, the availability of all the proper Star Wars stuff is no longer easily accessible, and so I only got books 1 and 2 of Empire. There's quite a few more volumes left of that one. In that, a whole bunch of stuff happens, which is thankfully summarised in the beginning of this one. So although there was a little bit of not knowing what was going on to start with, the summary did help me find my place in this. Previously, someone with knowledge of Skywalker was captured by the Imperials and tortured, and one of the Imperials in question happened to be Luke's old friend from Tatooine, the guy pictured on the front cover here, known as Tank. Anyway, the rebels were able to retrieve this man and bring him back to safety. So the story follows partly Luke's exploits back on the rebel base as he tries to get to grips with the fact that his friend is now an Imperial officer. His friend Tank in his zealous ambition to bring Luke Skywalker down, and the rescued man who has been reprogrammed by the Emperor to do his bidding. Some really good artwork in this, very expressive and explosive, and a really compelling story. I'd love to try and pick up the missing volumes of Empire and the remaining volumes of Rebellion. I'm afraid this is all I've got. Though thankfully it's not left on a cliffhanger, which is always nice. Worth buying, if you can actually get hold of a copy. Next up, I finished reading Underwater Adventure to my eldest son. This is by Willard Price, and book 3 of the adventure series. The brothers and animal collectors Hal and Roger find themselves diving deep underwater to retrieve sunken treasure from a shipwreck, and the very obvious baddie in their midst tries to steal it. Yes, the plot's pretty thin, but the immersive detail of the locations and the situations that the boys find themselves in, written by a man who has actually been there and seen it and done it, do make these books extremely readable. Although written for children, not patronising at all. The threats are real, and there are real consequences as well. If you're interested to read these series and you get yourself a older copy, just be aware this was written in a time where attitudes were slightly more relaxed than they are now. Worth reading, particularly to younger people. And then I finished reading book 4 of the Wild Chase series, The Cult of Osiris by Andy McDermott. This is an archaeologist with a gun type thriller. This time they're looking for the lost pyramid of Osiris, which promises everlasting life, or death, depending on who gets there first. Madcap chases, explosives, action stunts, impossible escapes, good old Indiana Jones style booby traps, and good old British humour. Extremely entertaining, good fun, and a very enjoyable amount of silliness. A fun series that's worth buying. And finally, I finished reading Ice Hunt by James Rollins. In the Arctic Ice is a research station that's been researching some mysterious thing. So here's another thriller, this time with the Americans and the Russians fighting it out, along with our heroes, to try to discover the purpose of the station. Being chased by some creature we've never seen before. Really good stuff, thrilling, suspenseful, doesn't hold any punches, and fans of James Rollins' Sigma 4 series will recognise a character named Kowalski. This is his first appearance, which was a nice touch. Buy it. So there we go, 9 books. I was really pleased to meet expectations there. Will I do it again next month? Probably not, but who knows. If you have any thoughts or questions about anything I've just shown you today, then please let me know in the comments below. As always, if you have nothing nice to say, then please keep it to yourself. Thank you. Until next time, see you later.